Hello and welcome everybody to the Sunday International Big Book Workshop. I'm Dan Beer, I'm a recovered alcoholic. Sobriety date 1st of Feb 21. This workshop is facilitated by Kemble H. Welcome. This study relies on you listening, but please we pray that you have your big book in hand and follow along with a pen, pencil or highlighter. Make any notes and pause if you have to. Write down any questions and we'll take them at the end of the meeting. We will keep everybody muted during the workshop except for the facilitators. Any inappropriate behaviour will not be tolerated and you will be removed by one of the co-hosts. This meeting is being recorded, the audio portion only, and only of the facilitators. The recording will be shut down at the end of the workshop before taking any questions in order to preserve your anonymity. So have a really great meeting, everybody. And how we open this is with the step 3 prayer found on page 63, if you care to join me. God, I offer myself to thee, to build with me and to do with me as thou wilt. Relieve me of the bondage of self, that I may better do thy will. Take away my difficulties, that victory over them may bear witness to those I would help of thy power, thy love, and thy way of life. May I do thy will always. Amen, and over to you, sir.
Okay, thank you, Brother Dan. Great introduction as well. Happy Sunday, everybody. Hey, Brandon, I didn't get a chance to speak to you when you came in. But anyway, I'm a recovered alcoholic named Kimball. I recovered from alcoholism by taking the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous, the program of Alcoholics Anonymous, not the fellowship. The fellowship kept me drunk for over 3 decades, right? I kept on drinking. Sometime I leave for a year and I come back and go to a meeting. They tell me, go do 90 and 90 and all this sort of stuff. So I tried it. But you know what? I kept on drinking. But this big book, going through the program, which the program is found in the first portion of this book, and it simply solved my problem. It produced a personality change sufficient enough for me to recover from alcoholism. So today, I want to talk about some of these amazing promises in the big book. We all very familiar with the 9-step promises because, you know, we read them in meetings all the time. But the big book has over 170 plus promises. And it's pretty amazing when the people around us can see these promises come true before we can see them ourselves. So today I'm going to start with some step 2 promises. Step 2 says we came to believe in a power greater than ourselves that could restore us to sanity, right? Confirmation of taking step 2 would be step 12, having had a spiritual awakening. As the result of these steps, we try to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all our affairs. So in step 2, I'll start on page 45. Anybody want to go to page 45? And by the way, welcome anybody new, anybody coming back, anybody struggling. We're here to carry the message of Alcoholics Anonymous. Not my message, because the message ain't mine. It came from the first 100 men and women who produced this book and a sponsor that 12-stepped me through it. I am a member of the Keystone Big Book study. We got an international study. This part of it right here. We have several other meetings throughout the week. I think we got like 18, 19 meetings a week, something like that. And these guys, when they got a hold of me back in the first part of 2020, it commenced to solve my problem, and I recovered from alcoholism immediately by following a few simple rules that's prescribed in the big book. So here on page 45, some of the promises associated with step 2, because we know step 1 goes from the very title page all the way up to page 43. Step 2 starts on page 44. So on page 45, if you will, come to the almost the middle of the page where it says, well, that's exactly what this book is about. Everybody there? Okay. So its main object is to enable you to find a power greater than yourself, which will solve your problem. It's a promise. I mean, if we take the process in this book, we're going to be able to find a power that is greater than ourselves, which will solve our problem. This is a promise. I've experienced this in my life. See, I was self-willed, selfishness, self-centered, self-will run right. I was always at conflict with God. I was at conflict with people, places, things. Everywhere I went, I was simply a train wreck because I was running on selfishness, right? And we know self-centeredness, it destroys us alcoholic. Only thing I could self-center on was another darn drink. I didn't care who I hurt, who toes I stepped on, who heads I stumped on. But the thing is, the promise of this book is going to enable us to find a power greater than us. There's no the evidence. My conception of power. You don't have to have my conception of power. It's whatever you are comfortable with. So I don't demand anybody follow mine. The power that saved my life, I wear it proudly on my shirt, and I walk this life every day. Thanks to AA for showing me how to connect to this power. See, I used to preach, right? But shoot, I preach, I get out there pulpit, I'm going to drink. For the night over, I'm drunk. I didn't have no relationship. So this book showed me how to gain a relationship with that power, that I was being, what is it, inadmissible to this power, because I thought I had all the power. I thought I was almighty, all powerful, everything else. Well, shoot, the alcohol talking about, no, son, I got control of your butt. And it did. 40 years and all, that stuff had control of me. I couldn't solve my problem if you put a firing squad in front of me with them RPGs pointed at me. Said, son, you either if you can stand here and not take a drink, we won't blow your head off. They would have had to blow my head off because I was gonna take that drink with all the missiles pointed at me. That's how hopeless I was. That's how helpless I was. So here on page 46, I'm gonna turn over one page and share another promise that we have in this big book. And it goes on to say, we found that as soon as we admit it, it's the bottom paragraph on page 46. As soon as we admit it, the possible existence. Now let me back up. Hold on. It says, much to our relief, we discover we do not need to consider another's conception of God. Our own conception, however inadequate, was sufficient to make the approach and to effect a contact with him. No, that's what I was just sharing about in my personal experience. So as soon as we admitted the possible existence of a creative intelligence, a spirit of the universe, understanding the totality of things, we began to be possessed. Here's the promise in here. We began to be possessed of a new sense of power and direction, provided we took other simple steps. Possessed by a new sense of power. What a blessing that is. No longer driven by myself. It's something greater than me. There's always been something greater than me. As soon as I can make a realization that self was the problem, I can move on forward in my life. So we found that God does not make too hard turns with those who seek him. Now to us, this is talking about all of us, right? The realm of the spirit is broad, roomy, all-inclusive, never exclusive or forbidden to those who earnestly seek. It is open, we believe, to all men. So true that is. As soon as we can try to make contact with this power, there's the promise. He just simply takes selfishness away from us, and we can commence to move on. So then we found, okay, next page 47. I'd like to run through page 47, where it said, it's in the first paragraph, about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, somewhere along about the 10th sentence on top of 47. So it goes on to read, afterward, where it says afterward, we found ourselves, here's the promise, we found ourselves accepting many things which then seemed entirely out of reach. We found ourselves accepting things that we would thought were out of reach. What I always thought was out of reach for me was getting sober in my life. I never thought I would be a sober alcoholic. I thought I was going to continue living and dying alcoholic death. Even back when I was 20 years old, I thought I'd live the rest of my life as a real alcoholic. See, I'm the real alcoholic they described in the book. So after 40 plus years of drinking, this alcoholism finally beat some sense into my brain, and I could accept what this book has to offer. And they came to be promises because other people were seeing these promises come true for me before I seen it for myself. But then, page 47 still, where it says, as soon as a man, go there, as soon as a man can say that he does believe or is willing to believe, we emphatically assure him that he is on his way. It's been repeatedly proven among us that upon this simple cornerstone, a wonderfully effective spiritual structure can be built. That's the promise. An effective spiritual structure can be built. See what Bill is doing, Bill Wilson, a co-founder, what he is doing, he's building a spiritual structure, right? And it's a spiritual way of living. But you know, we got to be grounded in the foundation, we got to be grounded in the cornerstone, the keystone, then the path. So this book is a recipe. Recipe is designed for success because Bill Wilson, he got sober. He went through all the trouble way before we did. I'm grateful for this book and this program, because if not for this book, I might not be alive today. Because I know where I was headed. I was headed straight. I was living in the pits of hell right here on the earth, as a matter of fact. I couldn't climb myself out of that pit, no matter how hard I tried, no matter what I did. So then the big book goes on to relate. I'm going to fast forward here to page 50. Page 50, where I want to go. At the bottom paragraph, it says, here are thousands of men and women, worldly indeed. They flatly declare that since they have come to believe in a power greater than themselves, to take a certain attitude toward the power and to do certain simple things. Now, here's the promise right here. There has been a revolutionary change in the way of living and thinking, a revolutionary change. This is the promise that we get when we come to believe in a power that's greater than ourselves, no longer thinking I got this stuff under control, when actually this alcoholism, it had me under its control, under its power. So that was my God. And then when I drank that stuff, I turned into God, thinking I'm God, I'm almighty, I'm all powerful. Shoot, but that alcohol said, kill, that is a darn lie. You ain't got no power, fool. You can't even stop yourself from drinking. I could stop when I passed out. I could stop when I got broke. But then I was going to keep on going. Somebody going to give me something to drink or give me some money to get something to drink 24/7. Because I'll wake you up at 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, beating on your door, ringing your doorbell. Man, I need some money. Telling all kind of lies to get it. Well, did they ever wonder, well, why is this fool up at 3 o'clock in the morning saying he needs some money now? For this, for that, right? Only to get me something else to drink. Shoot. But today, this revolutionary change. It's a beautiful experience. It's a beautiful experience. No doubt about it. Here, on page 50, I'm still in the same page, where it reads, in the face of collapse and despair. It's in the same paragraph. It says, in the face of collapse and despair, in the face of total failure of their human resources, all the human resources I had available to me, they failed. You know, I'm a disabled combat veteran, right? So I had the VA, I had private doctors. They gave me all the resources I needed. I went to many treatment centers, many detox centers, many rehab. I've been to prison rehab. I've been to smart recovery. I've been to every kind of program possible because it was always free of charge for me, but it didn't matter. Actually, I paid for some of them programs, right? And but you know what? Every time I left out that door, shoot, I was going straight to the liquor store. If you kept me for 6 months or a year in the program, I'm going straight out the door and I'm getting me a darn drink of liquor. And I was always drunk before I made it home. Kind of like it's a story in the big book talks about the same thing, but this is my personal experience. So it goes on to say, now here's the promise here that I'm talking about. So in the face of collapse and despair, in the face of total failure of their human resources, now here it is. they found that a new power, peace, happiness, and sense of direction flowed into them. So we got a new power flowing into us now. And it's not my own power. See, it was something greater than me that created this change deep within my life. I couldn't create this change on my own because I tried everything else in the world and it never worked. And then it talks about the peace. It's the peace that we all have today, man. But some simple, pure, simple, clear-cut directions outlined in this book. Then happiness. Yes, you know, God wants us to be happy, joyous, and free. That's another promise that's in the big book. In the sense of direction flowed into them. See, today, since I recovered, I no longer run the show because when I ran the show, I played the actor, the director. I was in charge of the lights, the ballet, in charge of the words. And I could, all this structure fell down. See, because I was the darn wreck, a train work wreck, thinking I could run the whole show myself. It didn't work. No matter how hard I tried, it did not work. Wow. So I want to fast forward to page 53. Yeah. Okay. Page 53. The outlines and the promise of the new land has brought luster to tired eyes and fresh courage to flagging spirits. Then I back up a little bit. We're talking about logic is great stuff. This is the first paragraph on page 53. Talks about logic is great stuff. We liked it. We still like it. It is not by chance. We were given the power of reason. So we didn't get power of reason just by some chance or something happening in the universe. No, this is from God. Power that's greater than all of us, right? I mean, whether you're atheist or agnostic, you believe in something greater than yourself. But the logic comes from God. And I really like what Dr. Bob says at the end of his story, in his nightmare story. I might get a chance to share that with you before we get through. But this is a beautiful thing. So I want to fast forward now to page 55. This is one of my favorite pages too, but all the pages in the big book are my favorite. And we'll start with where it says, we finally saw that faith. It's right about the middle of the page. We finally saw that faith in some kind of God was a part of our makeup, just as much as the feeling we have for a friend. Sometimes we have to search fearlessly. Now here's the promise coming up. But he was there. We search for notice he is capitalized, right? So that means God or something greater than us, right? He was there. This is the promise. He was as much a fact as we were. So we see ourselves, you know, we see ourselves, we are living human beings. So we can see that fact. But then when we search fearlessly for something greater than us, we found him. There he was. He's not too far deep from us. And I'm going to discuss the promises of that right here in the very same paragraph. Come on down a couple of sentences where it says, we found that great reality deep down within us. That's the promise. We found it great, deep down inside us. In the last analysis, it is only there that he may be found. It was so with us. So the first 100 men and women, they all got together and they sing. They had a discussion on these things. They all came to an agreement. So if 100 other alcoholic men and women can come to this conclusion, mean what they telling me here is the truth. That's where it's to be found. I can't argue that fact because, you know, this truth became evident in my life because he was there. And he commenced to solve my alcohol problem. So, page 55, once again, it reads, I want to read this here. If our testimony sweeps away prejudice, enables you to think honestly, encourages you to search diligently within yourself, then here's the promise coming up. If you wish, you can join us on the broad highway. With this attitude, you cannot fail. The consciousness of your belief is sure to come to you. when we get this open-mindedness, right? Wow. We take stock honestly. We do our inventory honestly. See, the inventory is ours, right? We get these things, we put them down on paper. And then step 5, we talk to God and another alcoholic. We free ourselves from this. But we always keep open-minded toward the spiritual way of life, that the structure that build is building for us all. Then it goes on to say, with this attitude, you cannot fail. That's another problem. Here's another promise. The consciousness of your belief is sure to come to you. Wow. The consciousness of our belief. We believe in something greater than ourselves now. We begin to rely on this thing that's greater than ourselves. See, step 2 is an idea, right? So we get these ideas incorporated into our minds. And we can put these ideas, once we put these ideas into action, it causes a lot of things to shift. And see, we can't change our own alcoholism. We got to have something greater, especially if you're an alcoholic of my type. Oh, flip to page 57 for a minute. A few more promises I'd like to go over, then we'll move on. So it says at the end of this first paragraph, it said God has restored his sanity. Wow, it's talking about a man. He got his cornerstone fixed in place, right? His alcoholic problem was taken away. Notice it says his alcoholic problem was taken away. Now that's the bottom of page 56. That very night, years ago, it disappeared. Save for a brief moment, now I'm back on top page 57. Save for a brief moments of temptation, the thought of drink has never returned. No doubt. God had restored his standard. To see step 2, he came to believe. Now, another promise. But he has come to all who have honestly sought him. He has come to all who earnestly sought him. So he said, now the paragraph brings out, circumstances made him willing to believe. He humbly offered himself to his maker. Then he knew. Here's some more promises. Even so, God has restored us all to our right minds. To this man, the revelation was sudden. Some of us go into it more slowly, right? 9-step promises, talks about sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. Shoot, it took me almost 4 decades to get this thing. See, I was introduced to AA back in 1983 when I was a buck wild soldier in the Army. Shoot, I ain't recovered to February 3rd, 2020. In and out this fellowship crap and not having the program. It's buck wild. So here's another promise. Man, when we drew near to him, he disclosed himself to us. That's a huge promise, a very huge promise. And this promise, it comes from the other book that I live in and I live by to the best of my ability. The Bible. This very quote is almost a direct quote from that book. When we draw close to God, he draws close to us. And it's so true from my experience. Here's another promise here on page 58. First sentence, it says, rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path. When we follow this path thoroughly and honestly, oh man, keeping an open mind and being willing to do whatever it takes, we don't see people fail, not very often. The big man, Tony R. from Vancouver, he been on this path for like 34 years. I think it's 34 years. And he ain't seen nobody yet to fail if they thoroughly followed this program. That's where I want to be at. I want to be the same way. And I practice this thing. I don't do it perfectly. We claim spiritual progress rather than spiritual perfection. Shoot, I'm one imperfect human being. But you know what? My relationship with God, it keeps me strong. It keeps me going. I ain't baffled no more by alcoholism. Some people like in my group like to argue with me when every time I mention the word recover, I get some comments. No, I'm recovering. Well, you know what? Let me share this with you. Recovered is in this program of Alcoholics Anonymous 88 times. Recovering is mentioned 2 times in the book. The first hope and the first promise in this book is on the title page, where it says the story of how many thousands of men and women have recovered from alcoholism. That's the hope. We take the steps, we get the promise. We recover from alcoholism. Of course, we're not cured. Now, I was just thinking before this guy came here to my computer, I'm sitting there in my chair meditating about what I'm going to say. And I said, you know what? I was thinking about this guy that was made the comments on something I posted, right? About recovering. So I said, well, if I ever, when I caught the flu in the past, right? I ain't suffered from the flu since I recovered from it, right? I mean, it's gone. I recovered from the flu. I'm not sitting here from 10 years ago when I did have the flu. I'm not sitting here the rest of my life recovering from the darn flu. Is gone. So now look, I had total hip replacement 5 weeks ago almost. I'm still recovering from it, but you know what? I'm almost at the point of being recovered. I got about 2 more weeks and I'll be 100%. Thank God. So, you know, when the alcohol problem is removed, what are you recovering from? The big book promises the problem has been removed. I'm going to get to them promises in just a minute. So if it's removed, why in the world am I recovering? Shoot, I don't recover. But I do need to do the necessary things that I do, you know, to keep from being unrecovered. Because, what I was thinking about, I said, I'll be a darn fool if I sit here one day, 1 year, say, it's okay for me to take a drink. Shoot, I become unrecovered and I'll be back where I was when I left off. I don't never want to go in that direction again in my life. No, ma'am, no, sir. Ooh, hectic. So, now, we all familiar with step promises, right? But I'm going to take you back to page 52. I'm going to share this with you here, and it's pretty neat. See, in our drinking career, we suffer from what we call the bedevilments, right? Here on page 52. So, it's going to ask us some questions, right? So at the middle of the page, it says, we have to ask ourselves, why we shouldn't apply to our human problems the same readiness to change our point of view. We were having trouble with personal relationships, right? Yes. We couldn't control our emotional natures, right? Shoot, that was an emotional nutcase. I was walking around here with post-traumatic stress disorder, and I was emotional and everything. You even looked at me wrong, boy. My emotions just would go all the heck. And then we're gonna have a conflict. We were a prey to misery and depression every single day, especially the last 10 years I was drinking. I suffer from depression too. I still have to take medicine for it today. But I don't struggle with depression. It's a whole different story. Yes, I was diagnosed with depression and anxiety, post-traumatic stress. It ain't never go nowhere. I still had nightmares and all that stuff. But you know, my relationship with the power greater than myself, it solves all these problems. Remember in step 10, something goes on with us during the day, we ask God to remove them at once. No doubt about it. So we couldn't make a living. Well, you know, I worked all them years. I was a real alcoholic. I couldn't make a useful living, no, because I couldn't save no darn money because it was all being spent. We were full of fear. We were unhappy. Heck yeah. Shoot, I was always unhappy when that bottle was running low. That's what the depression set in, the misery set in, all that. So we couldn't seem to be a real help to other people. No, I was looking for you to do something for me. And if I did something for you, I had a motive. I wanted something back from you. So what good is that? So when it comes to personal relationship, that's the problem that we had. We had problems with wives, children, co-workers, mom, dad, children, associates, wherever we went, we had trouble with personal relationships. But then I fast forward to page 83, right? That's where the 9-step promises are located at. So when it's dealing with personal relationships, having problems with them, the promises that's found on page 83. It says, we will lose interest in selfish things and gain interest in our fellows. Self-seeking will slip away. This is a promise, man. So we can look at our personal relationships today in a whole different light. We no longer self-seeking. We no longer fighting these people that we know. We gain interest in them, how they feel and all of this, what we can do for them and all of that. So we couldn't control our emotional natures. I was always at conflict with my darn own emotions, right? Didn't have no peace in my life. It was always chaotic. Because I tell everybody, my alcoholic life was very chaotic. And like I said, it lasted for over 40 years. Imagine 40 years of living a life in chaos. But then the promise, back in the 9-step promises, it says we will comprehend the word serenity and we know peace. Amen to that. Oh, I'm in so much peace today, and I have to thank God for it. But through the actions of this program, I had a peace of God today, and it's a relief, very much relief. Okay, back to where we were prey to misery and depression. Here's the promise here. Step 9 promises. Our whole attitude and outlook upon life will change. No doubt about it. We have a whole new attitude today. We can look at things in a different light. I used to tell people right in my drinking career, I couldn't look at life nowhere but straight ahead, straight to the next drink, like this. I ain't want to look to the right. I ain't want to look to the left. It was straight ahead, and if something got in my path, I was going to simply run over you. You going to retaliate and tear my butt up. It didn't matter. But that's the only thing I could see ahead of me. We couldn't make a living, right? But the promise is fear of people and of economic insecurity will leave us. See, by taking the steps in this book, I don't have to worry about spending all my money and borrowing money from everybody in the world. Then I try to pay them back, then I'm broke, and then I'm borrowing again. See, economic, we have security today, thank God. We had a feeling of uselessness, right? Then the promises, the step 9 promises says that feeling of uselessness and self-pity will disappear. True enough, we begin to feel that we can be a benefit to God and to everybody around us. No doubt. It's a beautiful promise. We were full of fear. Oh, yes. Yeah, but everything used to happen. I used to hear in my life, I get scared. Shit, I ain't gonna tell you no lie. I was a scared old joker. Even growing up, I was a little scared character. I thought I was all grown and stuff. Shoot, you let a dog bark at me, man, I'd be so full of fear. I'd be wanting to jump on top of the house. Shoot. Yeah, but I grew out of that fear eventually after about 30-something years old. So, but then it's talking about the fear. We will intuitively know how to handle situations which used to baffle us. No doubt. So when we ran into situations during our drinking career, if something baffled us, what do? Shoot, we run to the bar. First thing. And we'll think about it later after we done got consequences and all that. We'll think about it afterward. But through the steps of this program, today, anything pops up that baffles us, we got a way out. We got a way out today, thank God. And it says we were unhappy. Promises is we are going to know a new freedom and a new happiness. Freedom from the bondage of self. Freedom from the bondage of alcoholism. Freedom from worrying about that next drink. Oh man, we can go anywhere in the world today and just have fun. I know I have fun everywhere I go. Shoot, I have fun at home by myself. Shoot, reading and studying and talking. Shoot, I have so much fun today. I ain't had a depressed day in almost 4 years, thanks to this program. No, I ain't got nothing to be depressed about. I'm alive. We all alive. We breathing. Shoot, we talk, walk, see, despite any disabilities we might have. Shoot, God, hey, He fixed everything, everything for us. So here's the point though. When it comes to the bedevilments, right? It says we couldn't seem to be a real help to other people. No, we couldn't. Like I said earlier, shoot, when you see me coming, boy, you better know I'm coming at something from you. or either we gonna have it out. One of the two. That was all. I couldn't be a help to nobody. Yeah, I can give you a few dollars every now and then, right? But that ain't helping nobody. To give you some money to get high on drugs or alcohol. I wasn't a real use to nobody at a certain point in my life. But then I was at the bottom of the scale. Then here's the promise. No matter how far down the scale we have gone, we will see how your experience can benefit others. We will not regret the past nor wish to shut the door on it. So now we can see today how our experience can benefit others. We can be a help to people today. We can take time to open doors for old people or whatever. We can take time to just help people without even thinking about it. It comes naturally to me today. And it's all because, okay, thanks, Rob. We'll see you. It's amazing. So today I can't sit back here and regret the past. The past is gone. I'm living in the present today. Living in the present. Living in step 11. I talk about step 11 all the time. But step 11 got a 24-hour a day direction that we live in. So we're living in step 11. We're doing the previous 10 anyway. And then we're doing 12. We're trying to help people. You know, some people in the mean say, well, our job is, you know, to help the alcoholic first, which but we help people that's not alcoholics as well. So that's the point. Not only just helping alcoholics, because we just help alcoholics, and we didn't help this old lady that done fell out her walking, her rollator chair. Just walk over her. That wouldn't be right. That wouldn't be living spiritual principles in this program. So we help everybody that we can, when we can. Now we can't just stress ourselves out on helping others, because we got to watch out for ourselves as well. So we ain't rooted in selfishness, but we all, as human beings, we need a little time to reflect which direction we want to go in. And most of all, this is the last promise. We will suddenly realize that God is doing for us what we could not do for ourselves. We realize it now. I remember when I first got sober and hadn't returned to drinking no more, right? I realized it a few days later when I hadn't had a drink. I said, something happened. Shoot, I ain't had a drink. What's wrong with me? I was at the beginning of recovery then, right? And it kept on going. Each day it got better. My sponsor was 12-stepping me through this thing. And the next thing you know, bam, the problem had been removed. Thank God the problem had been removed. So here, I want to go through some more promises here. I think I want to fast forward to some of these step 10 promises, though. 10, 11, and 12 is very important, especially 11, right? That is beautiful. So here we go. I'm going to go to page 84. Let's run through some of these promises. Okay. Yeah, page 84. It talks about where it says this thought brings us to step 10, but I want to go down to the bottom paragraph. And here's a promise from the bottom paragraph. And we have ceased fighting anything or anyone, even alcohol. Look, we ain't fighting alcoholism no more, right? So will we still be recovering from something that we're not fighting? No, sir. It's gone. For by this time, sanity will have returned. Hey, we alcoholics did. We were some insane people, right? Now, my life, I played Russian roulette with my life because my brother used to sit there. Now, man, don't you drink too much out of there because I already know it's going to be a problem. I said, no, man, I'm going to be all right. I'm going to be all right. Shoot, I get about that third or fourth drink, my whole attitude changed. And then we would be in conflict. But thank God today, this promise today, I'm not fighting alcoholism today. Yeah, I'm an alcoholic. I'm a real alcoholic, a real recovered alcoholic, right? I ain't fighting nobody. That's the promise this program brings to us. But we practice these principles in all our affairs. That means 24 hours a day. We can go out. We can have peace in our home today, thanks to this program. When we go out the doors, we can have peace in the neighborhood, peace at work, peace in the grocery store, Let me share it with you. One time I was at the grocery store down in Walmart down there years ago, right? Drunk as a skunk. So I thought somebody would follow me on each aisle. Good Lord, I done went off in the middle of the store and had to get out there before the police came to arrest me. Because I looked at them and I hollered at them, why in the heck you following me? And I just went off. I can go to Walmart today, ain't no problem. That was about 6, 7 years ago. That's when I was insane. Because it was always insane for me to take a drink. That's why I mentioned about I was playing Russian roulette, with my darn life. Because every time I took a drink, I never knew how much I was going to drink. I never knew when I would black out and had conflict with people. It's a blessing I'm alive today, all the crap that I put myself through. But then, here's another problem. We would seldom be interested in liquor. This would be on the top. Let me see. 84, where am I at? Yeah. We would seldom be interested in liquor. This is the bottom paragraph on 84. That's a promise. We seldom be interested in this stuff, right? Boom. Look, check this promise out. It says, if tempted, we recoil from it as from a hot flame. Yes. It says, if tempted. At some point in our recovered life, we may see a temptation. I mean, it's part of being a human being, right? Like, let me give you an example. We might see this pretty woman look like Halle Berry or somebody, Katy Perry or something. We might see her in person and we might get tempted, but we recoil from that stuff. It's from a hot flame. We live in a spiritual way of life. We do not react the same way we used to react to any situation. So recoil from it as a hot flame. We cut that stove on in there, right? We know that stove hot. Why would I be insane and stick my hand on a hot stove, on it burning and cause myself pain? No. So any temptation, we recoil from it. We let it go. Top of page 85. It says, we react sanely and normally, right? That's the promise. And we find that this has happened automatically. No doubt. More promises. We will see that our new attitude toward liquor has been given us without any thought or effort on our part. It just comes. That is the miracle of it. That's a miracle, right? We are miracles in these rooms, in these squares. We are miracles. That's the promise that this big book brings to us. Here's another promise. We are not fighting it. I mean, we ain't got no reason to fight. Neither are we avoiding temptation. No, we can go anywhere in the world today, people. Anywhere in the world. This stuff, if it's been removed, we don't struggle with it. No. But we got to go somewhere and get somebody out of a bad situation. It can be a crack house or a bootlegger, or it could have been a dangerous situation. We can go right in there, do what we need to do to get our people out and come on about it. We ain't going to sit there and dwell on, well, look like they smoking, they having fun, they drinking, they having fun. I think I'm going to hang on with them. No, that stuff don't bother us no more. Again, here's the promise. We feel as though we have been placed in a position of neutrality, safe and protected. Yes, position of neutrality, meaning we're not struggling with no alcoholism today. No, it's the problem. If the problem's being removed, we're not struggling with it. No doubt. And the promise that this program brings, back in the spiritual experience, it talks about this personality change, sufficient enough for us to recover from alcoholism. That's dealing with the spiritual awakening, or spiritual experience, or a personality change, the revolutionary, the psychic change, whatever kind of change you want to call it. So we have not even sworn off. Now, here's a problem here that I love to talk about, because this is my experience too. It says the problem has been removed. It does not exist for us. Once again, if the problem has been removed, are we still recovering from alcoholism? No, sir. No, ma'am. If I remove something in our life, what we want to do? Do we want to take it back? No, I don't want to take no alcoholism back. It's not from something that when the problem's been removed. Why would I want to take it back? That'd be a darn fool. Here's another problem. We are not cocky, nor are we afraid. No, sir. We ain't got to walk around like a cocky rooster. No, we just react normal. We ain't got to go advertise to everybody in the neighborhood. You know what? I ain't had a drink in such and such a time. No, we don't have to do none of that. They will see it. They will see it long before we see these things happening. So, no, and we're not afraid. We're not afraid to go anywhere. We can go anywhere. We can do anything we want to do. And the book goes on to relate, that is our experience. This experience from the first 100 men and women. They went through it. And they laid a path out for us to go through it. I love the fact that rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path. It says, this is how we react, long as we keep in fit spiritual condition. You know, the big book said, every day is a day when we must carry the vision of God's will into all our activities, right? This keeps us spiritually fit. Step 11, which these, step 11, we got on awakening, we got things we can do when we wake up, as we go through the day. Then we got a plan and when we retire at night. That covers all hours of our day. Then the book goes on to say, if we have carefully followed directions. Now here's the promise. We have begun to sense the flow of his spirit into us. We got a whole new way of living, thinking, acting, reacting. It's the opposite of what it was. It's like we've been brought from total darkness into complete light. And then it says, to some extent, we became God conscious. This is another promise, no doubt. I remember the very day when I became God conscious. It ain't left my conscience yet, not 1 second of one day. Because I shared with y'all when I used to preach, right? I wasn't God conscious, I was alcohol conscious. And so people told me, I can help you spiritually, right? But I can't help you with this alcohol stuff. So, and I kept praying to God, because he know the trips I done made in all these different centers and stuff, detox centers, all the nut houses. I done been in so many psych wards, it's ridiculous. And that stuff never solved my problem, right? But I remember the day I became God conscious, it felt like, boom, I had a great, huge relief. Man, the alcohol problem gone, the drug problem gone, the lust problem gone, the women problem gone, all that stuff disappeared. So, another promise, we have begun to develop this vital sixth sense. You know, we all born with 5 senses, right? We can see, touch, taste, feel, smell, all this good stuff. But this sixth sense is talking about is a spiritual sense. God consciousness brings us into a spiritual state of mind. And that's what keeps us sober, not running on our own will. Thank God for that today. Outlining this program. Let me cover a few step 11 promises. It's my favorite thing. But that's how I live, peeps. That's how I was 12 step through this program. So, and it's my job to carry the message from this book. I can remember the days in that fellowship. I'm sitting there frustrated, strung out. I didn't know what to do, but these people telling me all this stuff. Just meeting makers make it. Okay, you took me to meetings every day and I ain't made it yet. Because I wasn't 12 step through this thing. And once I got 12 step through it, I can laugh at the stupid stuff, like the sarcastic big book. That stuff is so true, boy, I tell you. I've been had that book about 5 years now. And when I want a good laugh, I just pick it up and say, man, it's the same stupid stuff I was hearing. But anyway, step 11. At the bottom of 85, and I'm going to go to 86 right quick. I'm gonna shut it down in a couple of minutes because I don't want to keep nobody. I try to keep this with under an hour, so I don't want to keep nobody longer than I have to. So at the bottom of 85, it says step 11 suggests prayer and meditation. Here's the promise. It works. Just that simple. Prayer and meditation does work. That's a promise. I had this experience every day in my life. See that? I talk to God all the time. I'm just gonna tell you. Shoot, if I want to walk from here to that door, go down my hallway, I'm talking to God. So if we had a proper attitude and work at it, no doubt. So page 86. Here's a promise when it says, under these conditions, right? We can employ our mental faculties with assurance. Our mental faculties with assurance, meaning our brain. For after all, God gave us brains to use, right? Oh man, the next promise here, on page 86, it says, our thought life will be placed on a much higher plane when our thinking is clear of wrong motives. Thank God. And thinking about our day, this is what I meant right here, the bottom of 86. It says, thinking about our day, we may face indecision. We may not be able to determine which course to take. Here, we ask God for inspiration, an intuitive thought, or a decision. We relax and take it easy. We don't struggle. Here's the promise. We are often surprised how the right answers come after we have tried this for a while. Oh my goodness. Top of page 87. What used to be the hunch or the occasional inspiration gradually becomes a working part of the mind. Gradually becomes a working part of the mind. Then the book goes on to relate. Nevertheless, we find, this is in the same top paragraph on page 87, where it says, nevertheless, we find that our thinking will, as time passes, be more and more on the plane of inspiration. We come to rely upon it. When it says our thinking will, as time passes, this is where the promise starts. Be more and more on the plane of inspiration. That's another promise. We come to rely upon it. And then it goes on to say, we are then in much less danger of excitement, fear, anger, worry, self-pity, or foolish decision. And this is on page 88. This is the promise on page 88, where it says we are then in much less danger or excitement, fear, anger, worry, self-pity, or foolish decision. Man, we made enough foolish decisions in our drinking careers, didn't we? Another promise, we become much more efficient. Yes, no doubt. We do not tire so easily, for we are not burning up energy foolishly as we did when we were trying to arrange life to suit ourselves. Now, I'm going to cover this last promise, and then we'll get ready to close it out. And this is my sponsor's, this was his favorite paragraph in the book, and it's the shortest one. It says, it works, it really does. It's so true, and it does work. Well, God bless everybody, and I thank everybody for being here today with us on this amazing journey through the program of Alcoholics Anonymous. We do different topics every week, so I hadn't decided yet what we'll talk about next week, but I did want to go through the promises. Part one was last week. There's so many more I could talk about, but anyway, that covers some of the basics, promises that is really evident. It becomes evident in all our lives. So thanks for letting me share. God bless. And Brother Dan, you can get ready to close it.
Lovely. Thank you very much, Kemble. Just going to click on the